Hello, good afternoon. So my name is Jing Liu, and together with my partner Florian Idenburg here, we founded the architecture practice called Seoul 15 years ago in this very city, in New York City. And the world around asked us to speak about our recent housing projects, both in this city and beyond, on the occasion of our upcoming book with Lars Miller, titled In Depth, Urban Domesticity Today. So thank you for the invitation. In fact, this is the second time we're speaking on the topic of domesticity. The first time at the previous iteration of the TWA when it was still at the Met, and congratulations to Beatrice to really turn this event into this amazing platform it is today. So in 2018, on this stage, I told the story of one of our first projects, a house for the late iconic modernist designer Ivan Chermayev and Jane Clark Chermayev. The story was a human story, such as the constant tug-of-war between Ivan and Florian, where Florian kept on sneaking in curved lines, and Ivan calling us and yelling, "Now get rid of those damn curves." Or how we would have a design meeting, which is very familiar to many of the architects here today, only to have the couple to agree to disagree and then to have another meeting. But the most touching moment is when Ivan, this ailing, iconic figure in front of the camera, looking at the model of the house, with tears visibly in his eyes, sighing, "It would have been nice to build the house." The project was never realized because of the 2008 financial crisis. A house is not a static, generic, and empty shell to put away our bodies and accumulated goods, but a process and a practice which have their own histories that we have to contend with, and where our differences, evolving values, however irreconcilable they are held together by our care, love, and commitment towards each other. Borrowing Emanuele Kutscha's words, who will speak after us on the same topic, a house is the moral topography of our humanity. As architects today, when working in the domestic realm, we're often expected to provide the technical assistance for the neoliberal economic policies to press themselves into the fabric of our reality. This is how housing, a required module in the core curriculum in the architecture school, is taught today. We can also see this in the formal evolution. In the formal evolution of the architecture in this very city since the beginning of the 20th century, where efficiency and maximization have driven buildings to look more and more like the maximum buildable envelopes that's stipulated by zoning laws, which is an effective development tool for sure, but one that leaves very little room, literally and figuratively, for other things. And our preference for building systems and the spatial typologies that require less space, so more space can be sold. For example, the curtain wall systems and the double-loaded corridors. This crusade of efficiency has minimized the exchange between the inside and the outside, between the self and the others, and between the human and the non-human. This moral topography is disconcerting and alarming. It makes these postcards from the not-so-distant past, where social boundaries, connecting with neighbors and the outside environment, and the aimless everyday leisure seem quaint and nostalgic. While the transformation of our domesticity today, especially within the urban forms, where over 50% of the world population lives, seems futile. As architects, urban dwellers, and as the very products of the neoliberal policies, we try. So this book is not a manual of how to do housing, like many books on the topic before have been, but a set of strategies that we have found useful in installing some resistance in the circuitry of energy and resources to help make possible desires other than production and consumption. To move from the outside, seeing housing as a problem to solve, to the inside, seeing it as a practice of material processes to be imagined, occupied, cared for, and transformed, of the messiness and the chaos of life, of human and sometimes non-human. One featured project is Las Americas, a high-density housing prototype in Leon, Mexico, in collaboration with the city of Leon, in order to curb the unchecked urban sprawl. Amidst the huge migration of the rural population to urban areas, in a very short period of time in order to meet the production demand of the global economy. Sweeping housing policies have put developers in charge of producing cheap accommodations very quickly. What Leon looks like today is the result of all of this. This trend is both environmentally and socially unsustainable, and the city government are trying to develop a high-density prototype that would provide alternatives that is viable in this economic reality. And our strategies are three-pronged. Single-loaded corridors that combine egress, circulation, and social spaces. A formal expression that's not just the outcome of efficiency and economic reality, but with civic pride. And a simple material logic that is almost primitive and require little expertise to construct and the labor to maintain. It is an open framework with topography that makes possible within the band narrow of opportunities for the personal to graft onto it and eventually to take over. Here, what you see is a series of pictures that our dear friend Ivan Ban have returned to the place time after time. Before the occupation of the project, during construction, as well as after the moving in of the 54 units. Most of the occupants make less than $7,000 a year. And the city is really working with each occupant to find schools for their children, understand their health conditions, and make sure that they have access to hospitals within the city. And the building creates a continuous and series of this depth and space that connects the inside and outside. And really you think about the generations and the different ages of the occupants that's able to grow into this space that's the communal informalities. It is a place where different sizes of occupants as well objects can live, and coming in different shades of color can really take over the space and filter the light and transform them into a rainbow of life, happiness, and hopes and dreams. From the very small life to the larger social activities, both inside, outside, days and night.
So how now to take these dreams and desires and translate them into built form within the realities of Brooklyn, New York. And when I say realities, I mean economic and zoning or legal realities. So New York City is organized in zoning districts, and it means that per district there is a maximum amount of FAR, or floor area ratio, that one can build, depending on the size of the lot. On this image, you see, for instance, 3 of those zoning districts. In the middle, the brownstone Brooklyn low-rise typology. On the left, you see NYCHA housing, New York City Housing Authority housing, the towers in the park. And there on the back, on the right, you see the towers of downtown Brooklyn in a recently rezoned district sprouting. And so that's basically what determines the amount of floor area one can build within a space. Or within a lot. There's another set of requirements that basically tells you the maximum volume. This is determined by setbacks and building heights. And it's very common to try to build the most efficient volume around this maximum floor area that one can build to rent or sell. With Tank House, a young development startup in downtown Brooklyn, we're doing 4 projects that take a radically different approach towards thinking about efficiency. And 4 of these projects are in the book. I will describe what we're doing with Warren 450, the first project we completed with them. Because what we do in these projects is actually maximize the volume of the building rather than the floor area. And this creates a much more porous envelope, an envelope that not necessarily produces more sellable space or rentable space, but actually more volume between the interiors of the apartments and the space beyond. And this, as you can see on this floor plan, leads to units that have at least 3 and sometimes even 4 sides exposure. It has 2 or 3 balconies. It has a porch in front of the house. And so by maximizing the buildable volume, we actually create more depth, so to say, between the exterior envelope and the inside of the home. What you see most clearly also in this image is the green walkways. What we do is pull the double-loaded corridor to the exterior and actually create walkways that are open to the air within informal spaces where communities can meet. So from the outside, the building looks quite volumetric, but if you look from above, you actually see it's 3 different buildings connected through these exterior courtyards. Let me take you in. You approach the building, and you already see that the massing is not necessarily an extraction of the site itself. There is a volume, an indentation of the volumes, and the spaces that you see most prominently are actually exterior courtyards, exterior rooms. I see we have 3 minutes, so I guess we're going a little bit faster. We try to maximize texture by rotating the blocks, something we learned in Mexico, and the outside of the volumes also sort of broken up in smaller volumes to create a much more porous reading of the building. But when you go in through the courtyard, you don't find a lobby and a doorman. Actually, you find an open courtyard and a staircase that invites you to walk up. And there you see what used to be a double-loaded enclosed corridor, an open walkway where suddenly you become aware of your neighbors on different floors and you realize they have a dog or a cat or a baby, maybe. And also a much more visceral sort of experience of walking towards your home. Here you see the second floor, the courtyards, generous shared courtyards with green space. And what you see also here on the right is this in-between space between the unit and the shared space, a little porch, an extra space where you can take off your shoes or put your stroller or leave your umbrella to dry. The balconies, generous rooms that can be accessed from 2 sides in the building. So from the kitchen you can go in when you cook a meal. And they really extend sort of and add to this relationship between interior and exterior. And even from the inside of the apartments, you can look into the walkways and into the hallways. You see the community of people walking up to the shared roof. Constantly your body is shifting through space, constantly made aware of where you are within the building and where you are in relationship to the city and the environment beyond. And obviously, as Jing already described, the house is a canvas. It's something that is never finished. Constantly, people are adding and thinking through how to participate within the sort of creation of home. Here, Sam and Seba are 2 clients we have been working on these 4 projects, and we're excited that currently there's 3 more in the works. So on the left here you see 9 Chapel, a building that uses exterior circulation but as a single loaded corridor where actually you come out of the elevator and you're on the exterior going to your home. All the units having cross ventilation. 134 Warren, Vanderbilt, in the middle right, organized around a large collective green courtyard. And very exciting, 450 Union, the large building there on the right, which actually is a project that has a lot of affordability in it, and all the lessons we learned in these other projects we're bringing now into a rental project with affordability. The book itself, apart from these projects, has fantastic words by Jing and others that have contributed through writing and really explaining how we go about thinking through not just the home, but also negotiate that within the context of New York City. There are a series of visual essays by our friends Naho Kubota and Iwan Ban. We visit homes, construction sites, and markets. And for those people like Jermaine Barnes who love architecture and are architecture nerds, we do have axonometrics, plans, sections, and site plans, and very clear description. But maybe most importantly also, we end the book actually with the construction of these projects, a series of photographs showing how these buildings are becoming, because the home is never finished. It's a process that is always evolving. Thank you.